Welcome to Santaroga Surplus. We're going to go ahead and swap out this receiver mount here, the dust cover mount, which I don't really care for all that much, and we're going to replace it with what's in this bag. Let's take a look. As you probably remember from previous videos, I put a different scope on this, which was necessary because the Simmons SKS model that I had not only couldn't hold zero, but couldn't even hold focus. Everything was just shifting everywhere. So I used this Swift, which is going back onto a 22 now, and it held up okay. Not a horrible scope for what it is. The receiver mount itself is very difficult to re-zero, as you'll remember. Perfectly adequate as a hunter type of scope. But every time you take the mount off, you're going to have to re-zero a little bit. Of course, if you're within a couple inches at 50 yards, re-zeroing isn't that big a deal, once again, for a hunter. But for what I wanted to do with this project, it's not adequate. In fact, in practical rifle terms, all I can really say is don't get one. Goodbye. Now that we have that swapped out, we're going to go ahead and remove the rifle from the stock and open up this bag and see what we've got inside. Remember that we're dealing with some difficulty in reaching the trigger guard release there, so that's just a problem with the way the stock is made. And with everything out of the way, we have an envelope. The envelope has some papers and what looks like a side rail mount, some screws, and a sticker. So this is from Crazy Ivan. We have a Crazy Ivan gear bag. Apparently if I do this video, which I was going to do anyway, I get a free gear bag. Invoice. Now, to be fair, I got a little bit of a discount buying 2 of these from Crazy Ivan, telling him that I was doing this video series. Not a huge discount, but, you know, I got like 15% off or something, so there you go. I'm a shill now. Billing. Okay, make sure your firearm is unloaded. Only a certified gunsmith should provide installation services. Informational purposes only. Important notes: do not punch, drill, tap all 3 holes at the same time. This will result in improper alignment. This is actually true. This is a very good note. Whatever method we use to actually center this on here, don't try to pre-drill and pre-thread all of your holes. That's generally a bad way to do it. Ensure your tools are good and in adequate condition. We've got that. Use of a drill press is highly recommended. I'll probably use the mill on this, but I might use the drill press. We'll see how it looks. Included SKS scope mount with thumb screws and a mounting plate. Okay, so these are the thumb screws, because this is removable. That's the mounting plate. That's the part that goes on your receiver. We'll get you a little closer to that. Part that goes on your receiver, right here. Thumb screws. So the screws are interesting. the thumb screws, they are captive, so this is threaded. But once you get to the point where they're in your mounting plate, the threads are turned down so that they're not threaded into this. That allows it to tighten up properly. So, good engineering there. The plate is a trapezoidal kind of form, rhomboid, something like that. So it's not a full dovetail, it's a half dovetail. So there is an up and a down to this. So you don't want to do that, you want to do that. Okay, there is an up and a down. The holes will be lower if it's in the right position. Good there. This is aluminum, which tends to make me less than happy, but it seems well built, so I'm going to go ahead and run with it. I think that in this case, aluminum is not a bad choice. This is steel, so I'm not unhappy about that. I don't think that making the mount out of aluminum itself would be a good idea. Let's see what else it says. Items needed: center punch, hammer, number 29-bit, 832 tap. Okay, so this is 832 screws, which is perfectly fine. I would personally use metric on a metric rifle, but not a big deal. .532 drill bit. I'm not sure what that's for. Hex key, tap handle, drill press, thread locker. Thread locker makes sense. And then you're going to need some sort of files, sandpaper, saws to inlet the stock. So when this is on, it's going to sit a little bit lower than the line of your stock. We're using the polymer stock at the moment. I don't know if that's going to continue through the entirety of the project. I'm having some minor issues with it. But there we go. That should be okay. Now, step one is clean the surface of the receiver to remove any dirt and grease. And then there is a vinyl low-tack adhesive template. Okay? So you can reposition it if you don't get it right. You want to apply the template. You want the top and right edges flush with the top and rear edges of the receiver. There's a little bit of rounding here, so that's going to be a little difficult. And then you want to center punch one of the holes. And then you're going to drill and tap your first mounting hole. No problem. You oil your tap. Yeah, we got that. Understand how to do tapping. I'll walk you through that if I need to. But and then it wants you to use a 5/32 drill bit to create a centered starting point for your second screw hole. And that's because the 5/32 is a little bit smaller than these holes here, so it will center. Okay, I understand what they're trying to do with that. And then you're going to drill and tap the second hole and then the third hole. Then you're going to take everything apart, clean, and use thread locker. So this is not too big of a project. I was a little concerned about how we were going to make sure that everything was level on here because there's no real adjustment system. It looks like they've done the work for you with the template. We'll see how accurate it is. I have a feeling this is going to work out pretty well. Let's go ahead and get started. Here's the sticker. It has up. Looks like it's going to work okay. Now the problem with this is that finding the exact edge of the back of the receiver is going to be very difficult. I'm going to keep myself concerned with the top edge more. run into one minor problem here. Not a major problem, but a minor problem, and that is that the vinyl itself is a little bit flexible. So if you pull on it, you can actually make it twist. I think it's going to be okay. We've got a marking here. I'll go ahead and use a square on this as I go. Now the next step is going to be to get this properly onto the table, clamp down onto the table on the drill press, and do our center punching, and then we're ready to go.